Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's on. Yeah, we just started doing this nonsense. What is this, about June?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty. What? Yeah, so 3-4 months, something like that.
Hey, I'm not hearing his mic. Are you hearing his mic?
You hearing my mic?
I'm not hearing him.
Talking to that thing, Terry.
1, 2, 3.
I'm not hearing him.
Missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell did I do?
Fucking audio guy.
Fucking
You gotta fire the audio
Yeah, I know.
See the right producer and all that.
Yeah, I know.
We might not want to fire him.
All right, check it now, Terry.
Okay, how's it?
No, he's still
No,
not on.
why not? What the fuck? What kind of ragtag?
No wonder Kim begged him to be on here. We need something to help promote this train wreck.
Sitting there thinking like, what the hell? All right.
How we sound now?
You got anything?
No.
What the fuck?
You had one job, Charles.
You know what I mean? Can't do shit, can it?
You still in the football, I assume?
You know what? I don't get a chance to watch.
There
it.
he
There
is.
we go. There we go.
Oh!
I even looked. I'm like, I'm talking into the dot, right? I didn't spin it around on accident, did I?
So you
College? We got all kinds of guys.
Yeah, I actually went to the Michigan game last night.
Oh.
Your fault.
Yeah,
Did you get free tickets?
right.
I think you remember from high school we were diehard Notre Dame fans over here.
Yeah.
How you like them Irish? So?
Speaking of that,
Yeah,
dude,
they look good.
I got a good intro for the college football segment.
Oh, he's gonna love it being a Michigan fan.
Yeah,
Right.
we got the. Well, no, we ran out of Michigan rips.
So,
I got the Enter Sandman intro for Vatek, so
That
we
was
can
crazy last
not
night.
get intimidated by Lane Stadium.
Yeah.
All right.
So we got the stupid little intro that comes on, and then we just talk.
Okay.
Stupid intro.
My whopping $14 intro is coming on. This is high-end production value. And welcome everybody to the Fat Guys on a Little Podcast. I'm your co-host Steve Markey, and as always joined by
Charles is here.
today we got a special guest for you, local guy, grew up together in Dearborn Heights. You might know him from WWE as a Rhino. Terry, how you doing?
Good. I'm glad to be here. Happy to be here.
All right. This is beyond our borders here. We're not usually with a regular, normal person. We usually have some delinquents with us.
Yeah, just our usual friends.
Oh no, I'm a delinquent.
All right, you'll fit right in there.
Don't get it twisted, right there.
So as you know, how we know each other, we graduated from that stellar academic institution.
Yeah,
I can't even think right
Yeah.
now. Annapolis, Dearborn Heights, Annapolis.
Dearborn Heights, District 7.
Yes,
For those
District
of you
7.
who aren't
That
in
is
the,
true.
in the.
And your brothers graduated there too, right?
Yeah.
What year are they?
Jim was 92 and Ron was 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're a little older.
So you were the young one, huh?
Yeah. I got
I know the
got beat
feeling.
up,
Man.
right?
I'm with you.
You got the smack upside the head for no reason.
How are they doing now? They doing good?
Yeah, Jim, he sad to say he passed away last year.
Sorry to hear that.
And then my brother Ron, he's living in Taylor, working for UPS.
Oh,
Yeah, you
delivering?
know. No, he's working on the trucks. So he's
nice.
a diesel mechanic. So
Oh,
every time
yeah.
I see one broken down on the side of the road, I'm sure
You
call
look
him.
over.
Yeah, call him up, going, "Wow, you really suck.
You got one
at your
dropped
job."
over here.
So the one thing, you may not look at because it doesn't look like I've had any physical activity in 10 years, but I do move. And I
In
used to
10
move.
years, you're being nice. I was going to go 15, 20, but
Hey,
it's
I
fine.
play racquetball once a week. I go to a cardiac arrest. They wake me up. I couldn't
Mouth to mouth.
Yeah, someone wake the fat guy up on the court. But we were on the same football and wrestling team.
Yes, for years.
Yeah, and what was our stellar record for our football team?
Did we even win a game?
I think
Or
it's
I
like
think it was one.
New
Yeah.
Boston Huron every year. That was about
You
it.
guys did better than we did. So I graduated in 97. I did not win a single organized football game.
So we got to look down to you. So my question to you is, when you meet people, right, and you talk about your past in high school, do you ever admit that you were on a terrible team? And does it seem like everyone was on like a state playoff team except for like us?
Yeah, right. It was like everybody has a stellar season, and you know, they're talking about their like the glorious games they won and came back from behind, and I usually kind of sit in the corner and don't say anything. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I was happy to be part of a program, you know.
Well, I feel like everyone somehow was like this miraculous like high school athlete.
Yeah, everyone but us three in this room. We were the only three people on a losing football team in high school. Everyone else, state champs. They were in the playoffs. Screw all of you.
Like my boss went to like Allen Park, so
screw him
I gotta
too.
hear him. all the time.
Does he listen to the podcast? Because
No, he
screw
hates
him.
me.
Oh, okay. Well, we got that going for us. Yeah, that's the best. But the wrestling team, ironically, the program was good.
Yes, and you know, Scott Bergeron and Coach McGuire, they've built such a program, and I think one of the main reasons why we don't have a successful football team is we don't have a feeder system. Like, you know, you'll have some like the City League.
Yeah.
If you have some good players, they usually go to different schools.
And Allen Park's all about that. yeah.
Right.
You play bulldog football.
Right, and they get them, you know, all the way on up. But it's just like we have a junior high team, and then, you know, it's just we don't have that feeder system, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's why we haven't been so successful. But the wrestling team, they've built a feeder system. So
Well, that and
that
again,
helps
me and you
out.
are on the same page. But that was a Bergeron feeding thing too.
Yeah.
He really shaped the junior high wrestling
Yeah,
he started with that and
underneath McGuire's mold,
Wildcats,
right?
Yeah.
I tried to get Scott for the podcast, but apparently he's the busiest
Oh, yeah.
man in Southeast Michigan.
He's not that busy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not that.
He sounds
he's
like
not selling
excuses to
anything.
me.
Yeah, I know. I'll get him in here sometime.
Yeah, we'll make fun of him until he comes in.
Yeah, pretty much. Kid.
He looks really healthy now too. You see him lately?
No.
Oh
no.
yeah.
Yeah, he's
really?
me bald.
Talk about 10 years.
Too bald.
Yeah, we're talking about you, Scott.
Yeah. Come on down, Bergeron.
Yeah. Get over here.
Calling you
buddy.
out, Bergeron.
Now, who was, but before Vic and Scott, when we were in ninth grade, it was a different coach. Who was that guy?
Coach Scalzo.
Oh, yeah, he had
Yeah,
a
and
mullet.
Toter. Yeah, he had a sweet mullet.
It's healthy. Yeah.
It was very healthy, and the chicks really liked it too, because he was an Etzel Ford guy, and I kept in touch with him over the years, and he was coaching at Etzel Ford, and you know, now he's completely bald, shaved it, and
wow.
yeah, apparently the ladies really loved the mullet back then. And I remember one time a girlfriend picked him up or something, or came to a tournament, and we were like, "Whoa, coach, all right."
Right, you had some pull, huh?
Did he get in that 1992 Firebird?
Right.
Cobra
Hey,
Kai
don't
style.
laugh. I got a 1992 Firebird.
He's only half joking.
Yeah, right.
He was going to drive it today.
It's 82.
So yeah, at Annapolis, we were always good in like the off sports. So like when we were in school, wrestling was good, and girls basketball. I remember, weren't they like 30-1 or something that year?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the two.
30-1?
Yeah, they
like
were.
a regular Yukon over
Yeah,
there, man.
They were really good. So that was the only two sports. Everything else we pretty much sucked at.
Right.
Men's basketball terrible, football terrible, JV football terrible. But so
we
that was
we
the
didn't have a
highlights.
JV program for a couple of years.
Oh yeah,
Well, our freshman year we didn't have I think our sophomore year we might have.
yeah. I think we did our sophomore year.
Yeah, but our freshman year we didn't. We were stuck on the varsity team.
And like in typical Annapolis fashion, what we have 15 people on the team, and here Allen Park gets out like 65 kids come off the bus.
they pull
We're
it.
standing there with like 15 of us with mismatched jerseys and stuff. By the third quarter, none of us could stand up, and we're getting
Right.
slaughtered.
Well, it was right after I graduated. They changed conferences, and then they also like started opening the school district up, and Annapolis shot up because of it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they started playing Robichaud and
Yeah.
E-Course, and those we
Oh,
never
really?
played.
Yeah.
Never played them when we were there.
Yeah.
But then again, we're dinosaurs. So, what do we
Right.
know? So yeah, so Vic McGuire, he retired from coaching. My daughter spoke very highly. She liked him as a teacher.
I was gonna say he taught when I went through. Yeah, he
20
was-
something years, 26 years, and they're putting him in the Michigan. What is it? Michigan.
Wrestling
It's a
Hall of
wrestling,
Fame,
yeah,
yeah.
Michigan. I don't know if that's in someone's bathroom or what that is, but
Some
I'll tell
guy's
you what, if you're in
basement somewhere.
if you're in a Hall of Fame of something, it's still pretty cool. I don't know. I'd be touting that.
I pulled some strings. I know some people, and yeah, it is in a bathroom. It really wasn't that hard. I really don't have much pull, but
Don't
with
look
that-
behind the curtain, man. Let this man have a little.
Terry's getting inducted next week. Scott the week after. So then they're out of players. They're all out of
Right.
people.
But you get a cool plaque on the wall. That's all that matters.
Now, one thing maybe a lot of people don't know about you, and I know, you were kind of a motorhead back in high school and a mechanic.
Right. I'm surprised you.
I remember
surprised
that.
you remember.
I had to dust off the memory before this podcast a little bit.
Which I also we were talking about before the show started. I bought what year Horizon was that?
Was probably like a 1982.
84, 85.
Yeah,
Like
84, 85 gray Horizon for $75. You remember that?
Yeah. After that, I took your $75 and the little money I had, and I bought a '91 Ford Escort.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, I made
And
payments
the
on it for 3
ladies,
years.
the ladies showed up for that.
I had to beat them back with a stick after I got that Escort.
I know. Same thing with me when I bought the Horizon. Believe it or not, that thing had so much room inside.
Yeah, for a little car, it did.
Like you get in there and you're like, wow, there's a lot of headroom. There's
Well, what's
room back
funny,
there.
I remember that car because it only had one like side mirror. It only had a
Yeah,
side mirror.
yeah,
And
and
like,
that's
how
the way
much
it
money
came.
did
Yeah,
Plymouth
it's designed
save?
that way.
Yeah,
They're like, we got to save some money. What
yeah.
can we
Cut the
do?
mirror.
Yeah.
Dad bought that at a Hertz rental car sale years ago. Remember, he pulled up in that. Now, our old family, like your family, we're all huge, right?
Yeah,
he
yeah,
pulled
we're-
up in the smallest car, and there's 5 of us. I'm like, are you serious with this?
I remember it had a
Great
red
deal.
interior.
Yeah,
it was
red.
silver and red.
I drove that thing I put a $40 part on there. It was a half shaft. I drove it for 10,000 miles.
God.
Best $75
75
I've ever spent. Thank you again for that.
Yes, you're welcome.
Dated a few girls, believe it or not.
Oh man.
I picked them up with my charm, not with the car.
You're like, hey, baby,
Yeah.
you ever seen a Plymouth Arrest?
On the inside.
It's much bigger on the inside.
There's no way you could do anything in the backseat of that car. You'd just
Right.
be cramped up and falling over.
Exactly. My hamstring's cramping up. Let me out. Let me out.
What is that, Mallrats with Ben Affleck's character in the back of a small car?
Oh, yeah. So a little after that, you got that Oldsmobile, didn't you? Or did you build that? Or what did you what was that?
No, actually, I bought the Oldsmobile in. That was like my winter car and drive around car, the Horizon. The Oldsmobile.
He had like 6 cars.
At
I have a
18
winter car.
at 18,
drive
this kid had
around
2
car.
cars.
What the hell?
No, the Oldsmobile I bought when I was 16. So
Oh,
yeah, it took me like 10 years to pay it off, but
yeah, it was nice. It was
Mom,
nice.
I got you
had
back.
it. Hey, how long did you have that thing?
I still have it.
Oh, wow. It still runs?
Yeah, yeah,
I still have it.
yeah. Well,
It's
here's
one of his
the-
12 cars he had when he was a kid.
Well, actually, nobody expects to build a Oldsmobile for a muscle car unless it's a 442.
I was gonna say a
or something like that,
442
yeah.
I've heard of, and I'm not even a gearhead.
But not
What is
not
it? A Cutlass?
Yeah,
Cutlass?
it's a Cutlass Supreme.
Yeah.
So
It was nice. Black with
yeah.
the white stripe down
Yeah.
What's that? A Grand National's like another
The Grand
version of the
National
same
is
thing.
similar.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't try to convert it to a 442. I just left the stripes on there because it was like someone put it on before I bought the car. So I figured I'll drive it around for a few years. My grandma lent me $1,200 for it. My mom lent me $2,400, and then so my
This is way more expensive than the Horizon. Just so.
so I'm thinking I'll keep it for a few years running. I'll get a Chevy or something, muscle car, right? Like a Chevelle. And anyways, my grandma goes, you know what? Don't give me the money. Just keep it, something to remember me by. And I'm like, well, now I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
the
The grandma old.
or on the way out, grandma, just give me the bird, you know?
Yeah.
So I develop hatred towards you where I can sell the car. Something. Tell me I was a terrible grandkid, you know? But, so yeah, I still have the car.
Let me ask a question. So we talked before when you first got here. You live on a boat,
Right.
and you
right.
have 15 cars. Where do you put 15
where are
cars
the
and live on a
cars?
boat? The Walmart by his boathouse is full of his cars.
Exactly. No, I just have. I bought a H2 in 2005, and I have over 200,000 miles on that thing. I'll take it on the road.
Jeez.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's nice because the promoters pay for the gas. So
Oh.
you know, people are like, "Oh, is it a gas hog?" It's like a big truck, but a lot of the miles I didn't pay the gas, you know, so
that's
which is
always
nice. And you know, knock on wood, that thing's
But the best part is when you tell the promoter, I drive an H2, so that gas.
He'll be as a '91 Escort.
He's hoping they pull up in the Horizon.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you still got that Horizon, right? Yeah, you make it to
It
Pennsylvania.
gets 6 blocks to the gallon.
No, they're always like, "Wow, you'll drive? Yeah, I'll drive. Why buy a flight?" You know.
Oh, wow.
show up with the Hummer.
Yeah,
They're like
exactly.
doing the math. Next time, can we fly you?
Yeah. Take a plane next time, buddy.
Yeah. Could have put you on like the Concorde cheaper.
You and Schwarzenegger got quick drive.
That's funny.
No, and then I have the old Oldsmobile, so I don't have 12 cars.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm short.
I was doing the math on that. I thought we were up to 12. I don't know.
Do you have any family that still lives in Dearborn Heights, or are they all?
No. Actually, it's just Taylor, and then I had a house in Dearborn for like 16 years, almost 17. I just sold that in May, and then I figured I'd live on the boat, see how that worked out. And now winter
A common thought. I'll live on the boat.
Well, here it's a 1975 Chris Craft, and it's a 35-foot double cabin. They're very common, right? And so they're very spacious, and I'd never, because by the time you get home and cut your grass and do this, do that, you never have any time to do anything. So then I'm back on the road, so I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted to spend a summer on the boat, and I figured, well, I'll sell the house and then see where life takes me. So here I am. doing your
What's
podcast.
going on? Yeah.
Well, like,
So you're living on a 43-year-old boat?
Yeah.
Holy God.
Well, do you take it out a lot, or you just pretty much stay docked?
Oh no. Well, I'll take that out once in a while. But last year I actually bought an old wooden boat, and
He's got multiple boats.
right, I forgot
is he
I
up
had
to?
that. It's got a fleet. Yeah, right. I
telling
forgot. I'm trying to. You're saying I have 12 cars. People are like, wow, this guy's freaking loaded. And then I'm like trying to be a little humble and go, no. I just have an H2, and now I'm like, well, crap. Now I got to tell them about that other boat. They're like, wow, get this guy out of our studios.
Yeah.
That's funny.
This big-headed prick.
Seriously.
He's got
So
a wooden
7
boat,
boats,
regular
12
boat.
cars.
Right.
All right, continue, Jerry.
Fleet Terry just goes down the
What
road.
the heck?
No, but I bought an old wooden boat. This guy gave me a great deal on it, and so I usually take that out. So.
Like when you say wooden, are you talking about like a cigar boat? Like those
No,
cool
no.
James Bond in Italy boats?
Well, it's kind of like it's not like one of those long cigarette type boats.
yeah,
Cigarette
those
is
are wicked.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's an old. Well, they've got teak.
Is it a
has
rowboat?
teak decks.
Somewhere in between.
Right,
We
yeah.
got
Going
Daniel
out on
Craig and a rowboat. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's got teak decks and everything. It is really nice. So Samoa Joe, I don't know if you guys watch wrestling.
Oh,
but
yeah.
He's seen some pictures of it, and he goes like this. He goes, "Wow, it looks like you should wear a tuxedo when you drive the boat."
man.
Yeah, so it's kind of James Bondish.
cool.
So
Yeah. Those are
doesn't
wicked.
go really fast, but chicks like it. So
And that's what it all comes down to.
exactly. The horizon, the wooden boat.
They all come a running.
Right. The escort.
Yes. My Escort had some reason a gash in the hood when I bought it. It was used at a gash. I don't know why. To this day, I never figured out what that gash was.
Someone was doing like that 5-finger thing on the dash.
It had a giant, but it was pimped. It was red. All right, that's
It was
all.
pimped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had the
I'm
electric
sold.
seatbelts.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when they started going bad, about 4 years later, the seatbelts while you're driving down the road just come off you and start moving up.
Oh, that's
Yeah, Ford Electric sucks to this day. Sorry, Ford, if you want to be a sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. So we went to high school. Now, I don't know why I remember this. Probably because it was so goddamn funny. I think it was JV football. You missed practice one time, and then came the next day, and the coach tried to out you in front of everybody. Garrett, why did you miss practice? And you go, I had to mow my grandma's lawn, coach. That was his excuse. Yes. I don't know why I remember
Well,
that.
I was
but
going to say, of all the things.
Oh, it had me dying.
I had
laughing.
to. Apparently, I had to be telling the truth. I mean,
Who else would have
Everyone
believed
is-
that?
if I'm gonna lie, I might as well make up a better lie.
Yeah, you straight cutting grass. That's why I couldn't come to practice, coach. Didn't matter.
Nana needed.
Did
her
you have to
grass cut.
run because of it? I mean,
I don't know.
I think the coaches laughed.
wait, this is the same grandma that paid for the Oldsmobile.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you better cut that
Right,
grass.
yeah. I got to work off the Oldsmobile. You know?
So that was our high school years, and
Glorious.
yeah, we all had just tons of women dripping off us in cars.
I don't even think I spoke to one girl in
Joined the club. I just picked the girls that started working at McDonald's. I was
Right?
like,
Oh yeah, you worked at the 50s McDonald's.
yeah,
No
yes, I
longer
did.
the 50s,
I
man.
know.
What is
I
that?
actually filled out an application. I think you got me the application, or you were
Just
there
this
when I
week, or when you were talking? Like,
weeks ago.
Couldn't get a swing manager.
I couldn't get in there.
Just about everyone from Annapolis worked
Worked
there.
there, yeah.
it was crazy. It was
Yeah.
the hangout.
Wait, if you get a job like that, will they pay for the gas and the H2?
no, they give him a free burger. That'd be right. Now get your ass in the back, start pulling right. 12 eggs. So after high school, you went to training, right? Pretty much. Where did you? Well, first you were. I remember this. You were working at Kmart's in the auto section.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, man.
God, man,
And
gearhead. For
Yeah.
sure.
And then I worked at Valvoline, instant oil change on Telegraph in Princeton.
Oh yeah.
And then I
The one by
went-
the church, the big boy right there. Yeah,
it's
okay.
still there. I go in there and I always tell them that I used to work there, and they're probably tired of hearing that. It's like,
Here
we
comes this guy in
know.
this massive Hummer
Yeah.
talking about his glory days.
47 quart oil change of his Hummer.
Relax, old man. It's funny because sometimes I'll ask them if I can do the call outs, like clear for Zoom on Bay 1.
Oh, wow. He knows the lingo and everything.
I didn't know
I feel a little cool. I feel special.
Yeah,
you know?
wow.
I still got
Here
it.
comes
right?
old man Terry with his lingo again. Throw him a bone and let him call it out.
Yeah, the quicker we get him out of here with this giant Hummer.
Exactly. Get 15 quarts of oil and get him out of here.
He used to drive a Horizon. He didn't have many thrills then. He doesn't have really many thrills now. So just give him that thrill of letting him call that stuff out. But they do try to upsell you more than we did back then.
Oh,
so
yeah.
probably
Did you get the wiper blades or no?
No.
Yeah, the
Prices
radiator.
are way up there.
Yeah, yeah. Remember when oil? We're gonna sound like old
Yeah,
guys.
I was
again.
gonna say,
Oil
you
change
guys
was
are going on an oil
1995.
change rant?
They were $20 for years, and it covered all your quarts of oil.
Exactly.
And now it's like, oh, you're driving an Escape. That's an extra quart. I mean, it's an Escape. It's so small. Yeah, so they're always screwing you now.
Remember
Anyways.
penny candy too here, guys? You know what we're talking about?
Actually, you want to hear something really cool? When I worked there, I was, I think, 18 or 19, and the lack of action made this even more special. But this lady had to get out of the car, and she was a very nice-looking lady, and she had a mini skirt on. She did have britches on underneath.
Britches.
But they were nice.
Did you just break out britches on him? Yeah. Sorry if I can't concentrate.
I don't know if this is PG-13 or what, but
PG-13. Feel free.
Her bloomers were hanging out.
Panties anyway.
What's that?
yeah, her bloomers were hanging.
Anyways.
So I remember like it was yesterday, and for some reason I had to tell the story to the one kid that worked there. I'm like, yeah, I was right there, and I seen that. He's like, really? I go, you ever have that happen to you? He's like, no, but I actually get lucky outside of work. So if something like that happened, it wouldn't really faze me. It's like, you're really pathetic.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I guess.
He didn't even look up from his phone.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, okay,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, cool, man.
It's like, so let me just call out these calls and get my moment of glory.
You know what I found out the other day? And I'm gonna
Oh, geez, here we go,
I'm gonna
man.
rant now. With the kids, when something's not funny, it's no longer lame. It's cringe.
Really?
Yeah, have you heard that one?
What does that
No.
even mean?
Like
cringe
a
worthy?
funny,
Is
yeah,
that-
funny movie.
okay.
It has some jokes in it, and they're like, "Oh, those jokes are so cringe." That's the thing now. Just so
Sounds
you
like
know.
Holly hit you with a cringe. And
No,
you don't
actually,
like
that's
it.
not. Yeah, my daughter does hit me with a lot of stuff, but that is one. So there you go. So
Thank
right
you.
after high school, you
We're
went to
educating you on the
yeah, being
on those.
lingo.
Yeah, britches and cringe are really coming back.
I'm telling you. So right after high school, you went to training, right? Did you
Yeah.
train here? Or did you train in Canada? I was heard Canada.
in Windsor.
What was
Now,
the name of that place?
let me
Wanna
ask a
plug
question though. This is before the internet. You guys are like 102. I'm 101. How do you even
Damn
come
you.
to find a wrestling joint out of Windsor?
them? Yeah,
Like,
back in
how
the
does
90s,
that happen?
like 93, 94. How's that happen?
Some burnout at Clark gas station.
Needed his oil change. Hey, bro, want to wrestle? All right.
Give me a ride home in the Horizon, and I'll tell you where to go.
Wow.
Yeah, no shit. I'm telling you.
He's only half joking. That's
Right.
what
So it was really a dude you just ran into randomly? Told you
Well,
about?
no, we talk about wrestling, and I don't know how it came up, but I think he went down to Lima. Al Snow had a school, and at that time I was I didn't have the Horizon. I had an Oldsmobile Cutlass of '77, but it was pretty beat up.
Do you still own that car? Hold on.
No.
Okay.
I got rid of it last week. So I knew that wouldn't make it to Lima. So he was telling me he heard of another school that was opening up in Windsor. Actually, I did have the Horizon. So no offense, I didn't trust it to make it to Lima, Ohio.
I'm so offended.
All of Chrysler's weeping right now.
So anyways, probably about a week or two after that, he was telling me about the school over in Windsor. And then I called up Mickey Doyle, and he was a wrestler back in the territory days in Detroit area and stuff. So I called him up, and he said, "Yeah, we're gonna have a training school." And September 24th of 1994 was my first day over there. And,
Now, were you always a huge wrestling fan before then? 'Cause you know I am. I was the big dork. I liked it.
Yeah, I was in the same boat, man. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, all those guys. Yeah. It's pretty cool watching Vince McMahon, announce, and then you found out he owned the company when I was a wrestling fan, and then to work for him is kind of
mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, wow. And then when we're just on this, he came out for something. This is probably about 2 months ago, and everybody had to, get on the stage. And my buddy, he started working there probably about a year and a half ago, and he's an announcer, Vic Joseph. So we're standing next to each other, laughing, joking, doing what guys do. And then, he comes out before, they announce him to the crowd. But the live audience for TV, they come up when he's in the ring, right? So we can, do what guys do, laugh, joke, push each other.
Hit each other in the nuts.
Yeah. Bingo. I was trying to stay away from that. So, yeah, we were playing slapdick. So here his music hits, and here Vince comes out, and it's just the crowd goes crazy, and it's just like just a surreal moment where you're like, this is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's my boss, right?
Yeah.
So,
Someone from your childhood is now like your
right.
immediate supervisor.
Right.
So how many months did the training go for the school?
I'm still training.
I was going to say, he hasn't graduated yet. I don't know if he knows that.
Fake it till you make it. I think 6 months before I had my first match.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, everybody's different. Some people they pick it up quicker. Some people, and I didn't pick it up quicker.
I was gonna say 6 months, man.
How winded were you in some of those first training sessions?
Oh, pretty winded. that type of training, and you could do a lot of cardio in the gym, but the conditioning when you're running around and hitting the ropes, and it's a lot different.
For all the idiots who don't think they're athletes, is all I can say.
Right.
And I always heard when you first learn those ropes, like hitting them, they hurt. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh my! I thought to myself, it's like, how do people do this? They figure it out, right?
Fast forward 15 years.
Yeah. So you felt you took to it right away because you were a huge fan. You liked it.
Yeah.
And then did you tour a lot before hitting ECW? Or
yeah, I was over in Germany, and then we would go up to Canada.
And again, how do you end up in Germany? Because this is
back then you'd have to mail out your resume.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is well before.
Now it's a lot.
You're not
easier
just
to get
emailing
booked.
someone. You're contacting a person.
You're getting an address, and then about 3 weeks after you send a tape out, and
checking the mail.
and then or you'd wait for a phone call, or you hear that you had the wrong address, so you have to send another one. And back then
comes with like 8 different stamps. You're like, I don't know what this means.
Right. So, the thing is, a lot of that stuff was pretty expensive to print up pictures, and
before
you spent a lot of time in the FedEx. What was the place that?
Kinko's?
Kinko's. Spent a lot of time at Kinko's back then.
Took the Horizon, drove it to Kinko's.
Made some copies. That's crazy.
The world is so different now. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Sometimes, you look, and it was easier back then to break into certain places, and, but it was harder to get out there. But once the ball starts rolling, then promoters start contacting. Hey, I got this guy. This guy's good. This guy, this, that. And then you run into some promoters that are, on your way up, and it's like they tell you they're going to be the next this and next that, and it's just like, just tell me you want to, you're going to pay me a couple bucks, and you just want me to work and do a match, and that's it. Don't try to sweet talk me this,
So how old are you when you're going to Germany?
21.
Wow. And you did that full tilt, man.
Yeah,
that's,
I was
that's
there
impressive.
for like 3.5 or 5 months. The
The most important question though was how was the beer?
It was good. It was real good. I'm not
21
gonna lie.
full German beer.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
It's funny because I met my ex-wife over there, and really good girl, and we're really good, you know, and you know, she really missed Germany and her family and friends, and I tried to sell her on the fact, like, oh, your parents don't like you, your family, your friends.
Really poisoned the water.
Yeah, right? I'm trying to, like, so cut your emotional ties with them, you know? It's like, it didn't work. She knew I was full of crap. But so she really missed family and friends and all that. And I mean, it was.
She's on
tough.
America's Got Talent now, right?
Right.
That's Heidi Klum is who we're talking about.
Heidi Klum? I didn't know that.
Oh, man.
No, but, you know, we're still good friends. We have a child together, and, you know, we have to communicate in order for, you know, to try to raise our daughter and all that stuff.
So let me ask is she here or did she go
No,
back
she
home?
she never really fit in.
Is your daughter in Germany?
No, yeah, she's over in Germany. She'll come over and stuff like that. She was over usually summer, or they'll have like 3 weeks off in fall, you know, and then they'll have 3 weeks off in
How old's your daughter?
15.
Wow.
Oh, so you're right in the same age group as me. Yeah.
Your gray hair. I dyed my hair.
Damn it. I gotta learn that. Just for men? We going just for men?
No, but you know, so when I went over there at 21, and then I, you know, met this tall blonde, and
The love of your life.
right?
Yeah.
And the I wish she felt the same, but no, but the beer was good. I mean, 21 was a good year for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the year of Terry there.
It's like,
I'm
you want me-
39 and couldn't move to Germany right now. I don't know, man.
Was she
That's
taller
impressive.
than you?
No, just a little bit shorter.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So never wear heels?
Right. Well, no, she could wear heels around me. And
Oh,
it was,
okay.
yeah, it was. We'd
I don't know
be
if she's
eye
like
level.
Bridget
yeah.
Nielsen tall or
Oh
something.
no, not that tall.
So can you speak German?
Just a little bit. I understand more than what I can speak, and it's funny
When
because
she was pointing and screaming at you, is that
and coming at me with a knife. It's
Yeah.
like, I think
Got
she's
that one.
upset. I know, I'm a piece of crap. I get it. Put down the knife.
It's like, should you load that 22 right now and scream at me?
It's my birthday, for crying out loud. Put the knife down. Unload the gun.
What, your daughter's doing good and she got good grades?
Yeah,
and all that?
yeah.
Oh,
She
that's
speaks
excellent.
English.
She
and
play any
German.
sports?
She,
they have sports even?
yeah.
what is it? Dare you?
Was it soccer?
and-
Yeah.
We're
Footy.
so
Yeah.
American, right? They play polo and soccer over there, right? What else do they play?
That checks out.
No, I think she was forced to play tennis like her mom, and
Oh.
you know, they just develop a hatred. You know, it's just like
It's funny, their language always sounds so mean. Like they're
it
always
is.
great.
It is. No, it doesn't.
I don't
sound
think
it
you-
is.
yeah.
It's not
just
the
really-
romance language. I'll tell you that.
You never caught me going, honey, speak German to me. We're getting freaky. Say it in German. Now pull
So-
my hair. What?
How big is pro wrestling over in Germany?
Oh, it's huge.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, when I went over there, they would run the same town for like a month to 2 months, and they would do tournaments. And then when they would get WWE and WCW, it kind of killed the tournaments, you know. So it became kind of like over here when Vince went, when WWF, then WWE now went national. It kind of killed the territories, you know. But it gave guys opportunities to make a really good living.
Yeah.
You know, because back then you'd go here in the territory days and not make
Yep.
a lot of money, and you wouldn't make merchandise and all that. So by going national, you know, more people were able to make a very good living. So,
So
there's
did-
good and bads, and same thing over there. There's no territories where guys can go if they're in between. They could go over there for 3 or 4 months, come back, and you know, so it's good and bad. You know, having a big product like that.
Yeah.
So
What was your ring name when you were in Germany?
Rhino Richards.
Rhino Richards.
Yeah.
Where'd the Richards come from? Where'd we get Richards
It started as Terry Richards, and then I used Rhino Richards all the way up until ECW. Yeah. Paul goes, we already have a Steven Richards. We'll just come up with a new name. So I asked Pee Wee, the referee. I go, can we just drop Richards and just go with Rhino? And he's like, yeah. So I'm thinking Paul's just going to give me a new name, right? And a couple months later, when I started, they go, what's your name? I go, Rhino. They go, okay. Where are you from? I go, Detroit. They go, okay. What do you weigh? 275, and that was it.
And Rhino was born.
Big meetings of the mind and the creative and all that.
Yeah.
No, a
They
ring
workshopped
announcer
that
just-
for months,
yeah, right.
didn't they?
Just one day in Pittsburgh, a guy comes up to me, the ring announcer, and asks me questions. I tell him. And
Why is
there
the guy
it is.
Pee Wee?
I think he looked like Pee Wee Herman. That was his nickname. Yeah. I think that's why.
You never want to get a nickname in pro wrestling and just stick.
How did you get into ECW? Who found you? Or?
Well, it was funny because I was over there and I thought ECW was just every match was blood and guts, right? So I had no interest.
This is a big hardcore thing, right? Yeah.
And what was funny is you'd have 1 or 2 matches like that, but most of the card was just regular solid matches, kind of like Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. Just strong matches like that. And so anyways, I heard that, and then I'm like, well, hell, I'm interested. So the guy that trained me, Scott Demore, Mickey Doyle, and Denny Cass. Denny Cass actually owned a house on Cornell in Dearborn Heights.
Oh,
I never knew that.
Local
He
guy,
wrestled, Independence and all that. So if I would have known that growing up as a kid, I would have been knocking on his door, cutting his grass,
What's up, buddy?
missing football practice.
I was cutting Denny's grass today.
Right. Sorry I couldn't make it to practice, coach, but I got this pro wrestling gig I want to try to get into. So anyways, Scott called Pee Wee and then said, hey, I got this guy. He's interested, blah, blah, blah. And then ECW was right when I was coming back from Germany in January of '99. So I did a tryout there, and Paul hired me, and about 5 weeks later, that's when I started.
Wow. The Paul you keep talking about is Paul Heyman.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Paul Heyman. Yeah.
He actually owned the place and all that.
Yeah.
Wait, did you become friends with him at all? Or?
Yeah. I was. It was funny because I was the first person he told that, other than his parents, that his wife at the time was pregnant. So I was.
He's a super loyal dude, man.
Yeah.
Like, he really is.
Yeah.
Are you still friends with him today? Or?
Yeah. We talk all the time at Raw when he's there.
That's cool.
So it's funny. He calls me governor. Yeah. Because I ran for office and all that stuff. I don't have the heart to tell him, I lost. Right? And it wasn't I was running for governor. He knows that, but
he's just messing with you.
Yeah, I learned so much about the wrestling business because, see, after the show, that's when we do all the pre-tapes and all the interviews and all that. So sometimes we wouldn't leave till 3 o'clock in the morning. The
just
ring's
working through
gone,
things.
Or just waiting until it's your turn, right?
Huh.
So a couple times we were kicked out of buildings. They're like, "You got to go."
The union guy comes over, hey buddy,
speed it up, right? So sometimes the camera guy would be filming something else, and Paul comes over to get us ready. Like, okay, say this, do this, blah blah, blah. And then and then we'd start talking about the wrestling business and other wrestlers and people he managed and stuff. And you really learned a lot those late nights, just listening to some of the stories and how they would build talent and all that. So you'd learn the book part of wrestling. So
that's a really interesting stuff too. Yeah.
And in ECW, did you travel a lot, or I thought they were more central and didn't?
Well, they usually on the East Coast. Wrestling still to this day is it's very popular throughout the whole country. But a lot of your shows are throughout the Midwest, the East Coast, even in the South. Like in Tennessee and Florida and Georgia and all that, and we'll go out west. In Texas, it's really popular because a lot of those areas were very strong territories, like the Von Erichs in Texas and, California. You didn't have a lot in Montana and stuff like that. You'd have some people run shows, but like the AWA, in Minnesota, and they were strong through the Midwest. So, but ECW, when they were starting out, they were just in the Midwest and the East Coast. So, wow. A lot of driving, though.
200,000 miles.
Yeah, 200,000 miles on the horizon back then.
So they were slowly going out of business near the end, right?
Yeah.
How long were you there before they started going out of business?
Oh, I was there probably about 2.5 years. Yeah, until they put the belt on me, and then they went out of business. But I blamed it on Steve.
He destroyed the
company. It's funny. Tommy Dreamer always tells me, he's like, "Yeah, you destroyed the company." I'm like, "No, it was Carino. He had the belt before. They tried to save it and put it on me, but it was too far gone."
Are you friends with all those guys? Tommy Dreamer, Bubba Ray, and all them?
Tommy would stay at my house. It's funny because Vic, because I'll do some charity shows at the church, St. Sebastian, and it's fun. A lot of the local guys get together and all that. And I had Tommy Dreamer come in for one, and because his wife is from Michigan. Oh, okay. So Beulah McGillicuddy, you know who she is? Yeah. So, anyways, they're on the west side. So he'll come in, and he came in and did a church show. So we're the night before, him and Vic, like I'm trying to go to bed and they're video game guys.
Yeah.
So they're playing Madden, right?
Oh man, tell them to
Holy-
bring it on.
I'll bring him over here. Tommy Dreamer is one of the nicest guys. He'll shoot straight forward with you, and he's just funny. And it was hilarious listening to those guys play, because I'm not a video game guy, but I bought a console, PlayStation 3, because it was the baseball, right? And then I played it for about a month and a half, and I haven't touched it.
Collecting dust.
Right. So they would play it, and they were yelling, and finally I'm like, guys, how much longer are you guys going to play it? Dreamer couldn't go to bed until he won a game. Yeah.
Oh,
so-
man.
He's still awake.
He's very deprived of sleep.
But yeah. So a lot of those guys I stay in touch with,
That's
which it's
cool.
nice, you know. So
So
It's like very fraternal. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
you gotta get.
extremely.
You guys go through a lot of stuff. You're on the road together
Right,
and stuff
right,
like that.
Right.
So how did you get your break into the what was it, WWF at the
Yeah,
time?
yeah. ECW went out of business, and they wanted to hire a couple guys, and there was myself, Tajiri, and Just Incredible. Yeah. And then probably about 4 months after that, that's when they did the invasion. They hired more guys on. So,
Oh yeah,
like
that
Van
storyline.
Dam, Dreamer, and all that. Yeah, that was a fun little angle. So
You remember
made,
that storyline?
Made a couple bucks, yeah, off
Yeah.
of that one. So, but yeah.
Paying the bills, baby.
Right. And Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
So then you end up hooked up with Christian and Edge.
Right.
You were actually friends with those guys?
Yeah, way before we were doing the Northern tours and all that stuff. We actually met. I thought Edge was gonna, like, Edge and Christian were like working me out of $150.
What?
Yeah, because they go, hey, we want someone to go out to Winnipeg with us. We need a guy.
To Winnipeg.
Yeah, right. And do these like the little Northern tours. So they go, what you'll have to do is pay the plane ticket. He reimbursed us. And I knew there was shows out there, and they would go out there. And then finally I'm like, okay, well, you know, they would come down to wrestle down here in Detroit for a little independent promoter. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you the $150. So I give it to them. And, you know, back then the money was really tight. So I'm like, if they flake out on me, they've got to come back down here, you know, and I'll have a talk with them then, you know.
Yeah.
So anyways, I get to the address that Edge gave me. He was living out of a basement, someone's basement, right? And but there was a door in and out from around the back. So I'm knocking on this door and nobody. So my worst nightmare is coming true. I
About
drive all the way
150,
up to Toronto to fly out later that day. And so anyways, I'm coming around to the front door to see, you know, whoever lives there about this guy. And here he comes walking around the corner. I'm like, oh, he goes, how long have you been here? I go, I just got here. He goes, oh, I had to take my car up to the corner shop, right? And so anyways, I'm like, whew, you know. I told him that story like several years later. He's like, how could you think I would take you for your money, right?
You know
And
him.
I go, I didn't know you that well. So you know you wouldn't do it, but I didn't know you. So, but yeah, they're really good guys, and we're still friends to this day.
Nice.
So I need to borrow money from someone.
Hit him up.
Right. Hey, that Oldsmobile needs a new set of tires.
Can't sell a car.
Right.
So what is your current status now? Are you full-time, part-time?
Yeah, full time. You know, so
And how does that work? Like, how do you
got
get
to
your
make them
years?
feel sorry for you. You know, I'm turning 43.
bones.
Sam's saying, you know, could you give me a job? So
How do you find out like what time you have off, when you have to work, and stuff like that? How does that work?
apps. Yeah, they got everything apps
And
now.
you signed in and it says, hey, you're off this month.
Yeah, when I first started, you
Contract wrestler. App.
right.
Yep.
They would give you packets every Monday. I mean, I don't know how many trees we killed just with these packets. And now everything's done with an app. You know, they'll tell you your travel, you're this, you're that. If you requested, you know, it's easier, you know, for the travel department and everything. And if you're flying out of a different town or whatever, or you got to fly to, you know, someplace else, and you know, so it's very it's a lot easier to communicate.
So how many days of the year are you on the road?
Well, now, like, because after, I don't know if you watch the current product, but they do the draft, right?
Yeah.
So they drafted a lot of tag teams over to Raw, and they didn't move any tag teams over to SmackDown. So Raw, we've got a bunch of tag teams, so they have to cycle us on the live events. So I'm home more often.
Because
you know?
there's so much
because
more
there's
talent.
So many,
Yeah.
it's a lot of talent, and then so it's nice because you're home. But if you're working more, you make more money. So you want to be on the road, you know. So Yeah, so it's one of those things where I'm home more now, but usually if you're on the road full time, probably about 175 days out of the year. So
A little over half. A little
yeah,
over and a half.
yeah. So I mean, it's not bad. Not like back when we were kids watching it. They would go on the road for 3 months and they wouldn't see. That's why, like when some people complain about the travel, this and that, and it's like, shut up, you don't know anything. Guys like British Bulldog and Big John Studd, they'd be on the road for 90 days. It's like, who are they? Oh, Jesus. When were you born? 92. Oh. As they look up from their phones.
Yeah. Guy at the oil change place.
So the more you work, obviously, the more do they give you me and Charles were wondering this before you came. Like, if I go out and I buy 3 Rhino figures and you're going to be in WWE 2K19, the new game, do you see money for that? Or do you get a chart and it tells you all that?
Yeah, they're actually really good. They'll send you a breakdown of everything.
Jeez.
If you
It's not on the app, though?
No.
There's still toiletries?
No, we're hoping eventually it will be. I should suggest that. I'll be like, that's a great idea.
You're welcome, Ryan. Take that.
And I'm not going to thank you. I'm not going to say, I came to me in a dream, not on a podcast. So no, but yeah, they're and if you want to look at their books, if you think your cut isn't what your contract, you have open reins to their book. Yeah,
that's really cool from a company being super transparent.
Yeah. So I mean, they've never like you hear these horror stories and this and that, and I'm not saying this because I work for them, but if you have any issues, usually the guys or the men or women that are talking a lot of that are unhappy, usually you got to look at the person itself, and that's a lot of other businesses too. Mm-hmm. What did they do everything to their fullest to? Because Vince's door is always open. You have to wait in line. Other talent is, waiting in line to talk to him. But he's very welcoming. If you have any ideas or if you want to, sometimes you'll have a good argument and then somehow he'll make you see it his way. And you're like, wait, what just happened? You're leaving. You're like, wait, I thought my.
You're like, I'm glad I cleared that up. Oh, wait a minute.
He's not who he is for just by mistake.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. So
they're very transparent. You can get a hold of like a Triple H or
Triple H is so like we were down for NXT, because he runs that and he was the one that brought me in for that, and that's my second run with WWE. Mm-hmm. So literally after the show, my daughter was in and down there, and all the talent, they were like, hey, why don't you just go ahead? And I'm like, no, let my daughter sit and wait, because she's got to realize that these are long hours and stuff like that, and daddy's job isn't all fun and games, so when you're asking me for $20, you're not gonna just
they still don't care,
right?
Yeah.
That's what I realized. And I think I could have gotten out of here a lot earlier, but no, he'll sit there and talk to everybody, and he's very open, because you have to have that, so because if you're going to ask them to go to battle for you, they've got to really believe in you and really be able to trust you and, communicate with you too. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So they're all pretty open.
So are you considered like contract labor at this point? Like, how does that work?
Independent contractor.
Yeah, independent contractor.
Yeah.
So do they mind if you do like smaller venues and stuff like that?
Yeah, they do.
So you got to coordinate that?
Because we're an independent contractor, but we can't work for someone else on TV and stuff like that. But if you want to quit, they'll pay you for 90 days. You just can't appear on anybody else's TV. Like if I say, for example, if I said, okay, I'm not happy here, I want my release, and they'll give it to you, I could start doing independent shows as long as it doesn't appear on TV within those 90 days, So, yeah. So I could do shows for TNA as long as it's not on, and they would still pay me. So it's not as bad as everybody... or some people may say.
Well, they've been around for so long. It sounds like they definitely know the procedures.
And it keeps on getting better, too. Yeah, because I was out in Montana and Colorado, right? And, the elevation. So I'm getting a little short-winded, right? And I'm thinking, is this because of the elevation? And then I asked them. They had the cardiologist there because every year they'll bring in their team, from, I think it's from Pennsylvania. So they go, you know what? We'll just throw you in. I'm like, well, we don't have to make a fuss about it. So everything they did an echo and everything was fine. The doctor goes, well, you know what? I want to do a scan of your arteries. We'll do that tomorrow. So then I couldn't wrestle. So I'm like, wait a second. I'm out here. They go, just stand on the ring. we'll have someone knock you off, and that's it. I'm like,
Oh, so they work it into your line, yeah.
Well, it was a live event. Nobody really noticed I didn't tag in, because it was like a 6-man tag, and I'm like, now I feel like I'm cheating. All the guys are like, just stealing money,
sandbagging Rhino.
So that, but my point is they really take care of you, and a lot of these guys, like the British Bulldogs, the Shawn Michaels, the Triple H, they've really paved the way. I mean, so if something bothers you, they'll have it looked at like that. So they pay enough insurance. So I mean, so
sure that's not cheap.
Right.
So we're 43, right? We're happy birthday, by the way. But we're no spring chickens,
right?
So this is the next question I want to ask is, what are some of the tolls that wrestling has done on your body over the years?
Well, I had neck surgery in 2001.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah. And then right after that, it's funny because my ex-wife, she came down for the surgery and everything. It was down in Texas, and I'm trying to.
The surgeries in Texas?
Yeah, because they found a neurosurgeon. He's like Dr. Youngblood.
Taking care of the talent, yeah.
And he was like top 5 in the country. He don't practice anymore. He was older then, but. And if you looked at him, he didn't even look like a surgeon. He looked like just a stocky center, yeah, it's just like
a little plug of a dude.
Right, looked like he should be changing oil. No, ain't calling alcohol. But no, so anyways, when I first met him, and I'm like, wow, this guy's like the top 5 in the country. And yeah, so he helped a lot of guys and girls out for WWE. But when I was down there, I was, my wife came down for the surgery, and I'm just like, honey, come here. Here, turn around. Let me grab your butt. Just for medical science. I just want to make sure all my nerves work. My nervous
you got to check that. You got to.
My motor skills, all that stuff. Come here, honey. Turn around. Let me grab your breasts. So, but anyways, yeah, they take care of you and all that.
That's cool.
Nice.
How long is the recovery on that neck surgery?
A year. Wow.
Jeez,
and they paid me to sit home.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
they
man.
paid me my down.
I went down the wrong road. I started working in hotels. I should have been going with him in the Horizon to Windsor.
Here's the thing. And then they give you your royalties, and then they would book me on like the Autorama, because they'll do shows
just those
like,
appearance kind of thing. Yeah.
So sometimes, well, a couple years I made more on my year off than I did actually wrestling, and I didn't have the road expense too. So I'm like, crap, trying to hit myself in the neck.
Slam my head in this refrigerator door.
There goes Rhino game in the system again.
Exactly.
Was it from your spears? Is what did it because of
no?
that
I
move?
think it was just a couple.
Use.
Yeah. Running head first into a turnbuckle at full speed, didn't help out. Stuff like that.
But again, it's not real to a lot of people. It's like, man, those injuries are real.
Right. I remember it was with Just Incredible, and he leapfrogged. I went to Gorham, and he leapfrogged, and I didn't come up in enough time because he was too close to the turnbuckle when he leapfrogged, and I hit my head right on the turnbuckle. And you know what a stinger feels like in football and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So my whole chest and arms just went like that stinger, and I lay down, and Timmy goes, "You all right?" I go, "Tell Justin just to lay there and sell.
Give me a minute.
I'm gonna need some time." Wow. Now what they would do is they just stop the match. Yeah, anything like that.
What do you mean they stopped the match?
Yeah, because
the show must go on. What's going on?
Right.
What is this?
I'm talking about.
You roll you out of the way.
Right,
and get to work.
Right. Well, with all the concussions and stuff that they're talking about, so. It was funny. Did you see Liv get kicked in the head by Brie? Yeah, that was pretty.
The Bella twins kind of keep screwing up.
Oh, because they're on E too much, man.
Right. Hey, get off of E. Come back to the ring. No, but well, she didn't know she got clipped in the jaw and was knocked out. So the second kick hit her right in the head. So when I went back to work the following Monday, I went up to Liv and I go, "Wow, that is." I go, sorry to hear about the concussion and everything, getting kicked in the head and knocked out, but it was awesome. I go, you were like a champ. I go,
kicked in the head. But...
I go, it looked totally awesome. You're totally tough. I would still be milking it. I go, you're so cool in my book. But
she still has ringing in that one ear. She's like, what?
I didn't hear a word he said.
That's why I said it was awesome. No, but I'm like, you are tough.
Wow.
So you're ECW, then WWF, then you left and you went to TNA, right?
Yeah, for like 7 years.
Now, are you allowed to talk about TNA?
Oh, yeah, I can
Okay,
talk
you know,
about it.
I know some people get touchy
Yeah.
about that.
No.
So
I
what
enjoyed myself.
was the drastic differences between being in WWE and then TNA?
The paychecks.
Well,
The more
yeah.
you make, and well, you know, I had the road expense with WWE, and you know they'll take care of your flights, but you have to take care of rent-a-cars and all that stuff. You know, you can write it off, but they weren't running as many shows. You know, and I enjoy being on the road and traveling, and you know, and just the.
I think you're the
camaraderie.
first wrestler ever to say that. Really,
Yeah,
most
no,
of them
I
hate
really,
it.
I really enjoy it. You know, some people really hate it, and some people like I know Brock never enjoyed the traveling. You know, because he's a woodsy dude. You know, he's like a hunter.
He wants to
He's-
be out like chopping wood
exactly.
somewhere.
Yeah, he's comfortable in his surroundings and all that stuff, and you know, nice guy. I get along with him really, really good. But the traveling isn't. You know, some people it's
Taking him
foreign.
away from the farm, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
It's got to be in like Minnesota somewhere in 4 feet of snow to feel at home.
right. Trekking through the trails and stuff, and so
But TNA, you pretty much stayed in one place mostly, right?
yeah,
Was it in
we were
Orlando.
we were down in Orlando, and then probably my first 2 or 3 years, I heard the rides and I seen the rides, and then the third year, I'm like, you know what? Why don't I walk over there and go on one of the rides? So
You were in walking distance of
yeah, you
like,
just through the back. You didn't even have to pay for it. Yeah, so basically,
you guys
after
filmed-
the third year, you would never find me. I was always on the roller coaster.
wow.
I'd
So you
always
guys
ask-
filmed where
yeah,
like
in Universal Studios. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
go on
Perks,
the
man. They got
Hulk
all
and-
kinds of
yeah.
perks.
So you saw all the Harry Potter stuff, huh?
Well, no, I was out by the time that thing opened. But Sandman, it was funny. They were building that, and I'm like, Sandman. You guys know who Sandman
Yeah.
is, right? So we had a big feud in ECW, and he was down in TNA to do some stuff, and so I'm like, hey, let's go on the rides. He's like, oh, okay. And Sandman's one of the greatest
That's
guys.
how he
so-
talks?
Yeah, it's great.
a lizard?
We're walking, and then we were heading back, and they were building that Harry Potter thing. So they had it all closed off. I go, oh, we got to go back the other way. He's like, oh, you're killing me, Rhino. I only have so many steps left in my life, and you've taken about 100 of them away from me. And I'm like, if you exercise more, you might have more steps. So consider this exercise, and I added 100. He goes, ow, you're killing me even more.
Is he a big smoker like they portrayed him to be, or is that just a
Yeah, he OD'd one time in the car.
Did you Pulp Fiction another wrestler?
Did you have to get the adrenaline out, stick it in his chest?
Well, that's what they did in the ambulance.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
we already
Whoa.
talked about the story, Raven, and I was there, Raven, and then Guido and everything, and yeah, and this was back in ECW, way back when, and yeah, we're like, I don't think he should be breathing like that, so we called an ambulance, and if we would have passed that exit, Raven didn't know. This was back like 99 or 2000. If you hit 911, it would go to the local dispatch. He didn't know that with cell phones, and you know, cell phones were kind of new then.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so it went to the local one, and if we would have passed that exit, went to the next one. The next one was 17 minutes away, or 17 exits away,
No time.
or 17 miles away. My bad. And then it was on a call the EMTs, you know. So, and then by the time we would have made it there, he would have flatlined then, and there was no adrenaline and everything.
Was this in the back of the Hummer? Whose car were we in?
It was in the back of. We actually had an Escalade.
Oh.
Yeah. He rented an Escalade, and I wasn't supposed to travel with him. So Raven says I saved his life, but it was a combination of both of us.
Wow.
Yeah, Bill Alfonso was there. He was sleeping in the back. Nunzio was drunk in the back.
That's a crazy time.
Right. So,
Now, Charles works at the local Hilton, and a lot of the wrestlers stay there when they're here. And he
Not a Hilton. I work at a Westin, but it's
Oh,
fine.
Westin.
close enough.
oh, the one off 94.
At the airport.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Big boy.
Yeah.
So he sees a lot of the local wrestlers, and he to this day claims Big Show is the biggest man he's ever
He
seen.
Oh, yeah.
is enormous,
Oh,
man.
yeah, he is.
Dude,
He's
I'm telling you.
awesome dude.
So he takes pro wrestlers. My hat's off to you guys because like
You
you
ever
guys
shake his
love.
hand?
That's what I'm going to talk about. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So he has like a family that he takes care of here in Detroit that meets him at the hotel I was working at the time. I worked at a different hotel at this point. And they come in, and this guy like gets this family tickets and does all kinds of stuff for these little, like the way that pro wrestlers take care of their fan base is just amazing. Like some of the best stuff I've ever seen. So he came in and met this family's little. Again, they knew him. It was crazy to see, and he was talking to me. And I'm telling you, man, this man's hands are as big as my head, and I'm 300 pounds and 6'3". They are the most enormous hands I've. I can't believe it.
Like
I can't even put the words.
Shake his hand. Yeah.
I felt like a child. Yeah, I felt like that little kid that was dealing with the biggest man I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was like, and he's a really cool dude, and that's what people don't. A lot of people don't know that he has a very, very kind heart. Yeah,
super good.
Yeah,
dude.
and
super good. Dude.
I've seen him do, and I've heard him do a lot of things like that. You know, so and one time we traveled. This is back in like 2003. Nunzio, myself, Nunzio and Little Guido, same person, and then Paul Heyman. We all traveled one weekend, and we went in there. It was a Marriott in Philly at the Philadelphia airport, and the rate was like $99 for the guys. They had a thing, so they go, we'll park the car, just get the room, because they already got the room. So, and Nunzio and I were kind of cheap, so we go in there, and the guy's
he's
like,
got 12 cars, but he's cheap.
Right.
Oh, you paid $75 for one car.
Right. So the guy goes, no, it's $190 for a room. We're like, no, we're with WWE, and they've got a rate at this. They go, no. It's like, there's 40 people just checked in earlier today, and they got that rate. Well, it doesn't matter. And so we waited till a big show, and Paul came in, and we were going to get the car and go to a Red Roof or something. And they go, why? And we told him. He goes, no. So he told the guy, he goes, I'm a VIP member too, and because he stays at them all the time. He goes, it doesn't matter, $199 for a night.
He told the Big Show this?
Yeah, and
never.
And Show got so mad. He's like, you know what? Well, F you. And and he pulls out his credit card. He was gonna get a room for myself and Nunzio. Meanwhile, we share a room, right? We're like, no, Show, don't do that. He's like, no, F this guy, and plus his buddy worked for the Marriott too, right? So, anyways, we're like, no, and we had to talk him down. And then he would pay for our meals, because I think he felt, because he made more, like it was kind of like helping us out.
Like
We're like,
back.
yeah. So one time we snuck the bill, and it was the same loop, and he looked over at us when he asked for the check, and he looked over at us, and the guy told him, and he goes, "Thank you, but never ever do that again." And we're like, okay, but he said it was
you wouldn't have to tell me twice. I'm telling you, making my palms sweat just hearing the story.
He said it was so intimidating when he said, "Never do that again."
Telling
We're like, okay, well, I guess we'll have to.
Like kids, dude.
What?
Telling you.
The cool thing about it now is he'll do that same type of respect for like the new guys coming in, and men and women. Like he'll make sure they're taken care of. And what they do is they'll buy him cigars and stuff that he likes, or if he likes a scotch, or I don't know if he drinks, but I remember someone coming up to him and giving him a box of cigars. So, it's really nice, so. But you get that respect from the younger generation.
I would respect him just on size.
Right,
I'm telling
right,
you,
right.
not BSing.
Yeah.
To this day, I tell him that story. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the current? Are you in the part of your career now where you're just kind of there to put over the younger guys and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely help them out, definitely, and putting them over and stuff like that, and they return the favor. But it's to get the feel, and that's one of the things Hunter was telling me. These guys need to, like when I was coming up, I worked with Jim Brunzell. You remember from the Killer Bees,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And worked, and you learn a lot when you're in the ring with veterans, So, and that was one of the things, you got to learn, especially when you're over, and a lot of the fans, I think, after I ended with TNA, I was on the independent scenes for like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years, and I do some stuff with Ring of Honor, and a lot of the fans through social media, they see you're on that grind,
Mm-hmm.
They're like, wow, this guy's, after all the success, he's working at, this local bar, or, you know, he's working at this place or he's working at this place, you know, and they see that and they respect that. So then you become more over with them, you know, and plus it's a generational thing. So, you know, fathers can take their kids and say, hey, when I was younger, I watched him, you know. So whenever I'm very blessed, whenever I go to do these live events for WWE or even the TV, the fans are really behind me. And a lot of the younger guys coming in, they don't have that feeling, you know, to work with someone that is over in a way that I'm over. So it's kind of, and then if they've watched you when they were kids getting in the ring with someone they watched, like
you were describing,
so that's the importance of working with veterans, you know, that can still go too. So
have you worked locally any with Clash Wrestling?
Yeah, I've worked with. I'm surprised you know Clash Wrestling. Yeah, I've worked with them. I want to say, you remember Mark Swovlin?
A little bit. No.
Okay, yeah. Well, his wife, they dated in high school. She was pregnant with twins, and they're 6 now. And I just seen Mark and his wife at the homecoming game at Annapolis, and she was like 8 months pregnant. I mean, she was just way out here, and I'm thinking, well, when are you due? I think she was like 3 weeks away from her due date, and I'm thinking, if you give birth here, and it was at a Clash Wrestling show,
that would be the worst place.
Yeah, I'm like, don't
ask Town Center, giving
those metal chairs.
Don't ask me for help, and don't take my shirts that I'm selling and use them to wrap the baby, because I need that money.
Yeah, killing the profit margin.
No, we're friends with Tyler, the caveman on there.
Okay,
he graduated from
Elk.
he graduated from Annapolis also.
Did he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. He's actually that's who I wrestled.
Was it?
Doesn't he coach at
Divine Child?
Yeah, I wrestled him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's actually really talented too. So
he needs his break.
he needs his break. I'll book him at the church show. I haven't talked to him in a while.
So let's look at your wrestling now. Recently, well, how many years ago? Well, it wasn't that long. When did you run for office in Dearborn?
2016.
Well, it wasn't in Dearborn. It was for a state house.
But
the district represented Dearborn.
Yeah, all of Dearborn, because Dearborn was large enough to make up the district.
Yeah.
Now, did you vote for him, Charles?
I don't vote. No.
Okay.
Well,
I'm a terrible
you can
person.
lie while he's here.
Or it was I don't vote, meaning I voted for your opponent, or I really don't vote.
No, I think that Dearborn's a tough nut to crack based on the ethnicity and the makeup of the city.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of, you know.
Yeah, well, see,
it's a tough road to hoe.
Abdullah Hamoud is the guy that I lost to. He's 27 or 28 now. He's a really good guy, you know. We would do like debates.
He's the competition.
Like
Come on. What are you doing?
So, but like we agreed on some things and we disagreed on others. But you know, I mean, Dearborn didn't lose out either way. But Dearborn is more of a Democratic district, and they're more of a JFK Democratic district, and that's what I was trying to get across. Is, you know, because I ran under the Republican ticket and it was very tough. And it's funny, a lot of career politicians told me, they go, "Why don't you just run as a Democrat?" And I'm like, well, I'm asking people to vote for me, but I'm lying to them right off the bat.
I'll be this week.
I'm a little confused here, and I know that happens in the world of politics.
Whoa! You're trying to tell me a politician lies?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
They're not crooked.
Mind
at
is
all.
blown. Interview over.
So, but no, I really enjoyed myself. You know, I knocked on probably about 14,000 doors.
Jeez.
You know,
Did you skip my house?
Actually, I think
just kidding.
No, I think you might have gotten what do they call that? The walking cards. You know, where you find it in your door. A lot of times you'll just get a sheet of who votes, and it doesn't say who they voted for, but you know, it's like your walking list. It's called. You know, if they usually vote Democrat, or if they vote Republican and Democrat, they'll show up as more of an independent, because you don't have to register in the state of Michigan. So it kind of gives you a signal of who to target, who to hit, and this and that. So, but a lot of streets, because it was getting close to the election, especially over here, we just go door to door and put the door hangers on. So even if they didn't vote, it was just kind of getting all your stuff out, because it does you no good sitting in your office, you know, or at your headquarters.
Just waiting for numbers to come in. Yeah,
my
what's the point?
headquarters was not the boat. It was when I actually owned the house.
Oh.
So I'm like,
So-
all right. So we were speed walking through this neighborhood.
What's harder, politics or pro wrestling?
You know, it's kind of one and the same, but I think there's more honesty in pro wrestling.
That's funny.
So at least we admit it's a work. The politicians haven't really quite found the courage to admit it's a work.
Your first debate. Were you as nervous doing that as like your first wrestling match?
No, I actually popped a few people and surprised a few people that how knowledgeable I was.
They thought you were just doing it as a gimmick, or
At first,
Yeah.
you know, and I can understand why, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, it's kind of a passion, you know, and I fell into it, you know, when you're paying taxes and you're like, okay, wait a second, where's all this money going to? And
Did you find out? Because I really want to know. Did you? I mean,
a lot of it's not going where they're saying it's going. So
it was more of those lies,
right? So. But I figured, you know what? Why not? You know, it was a really good, clean campaign, and we shared ideas, and you know, it was one of those things where, you know, it was the League of Women Voters was like the first debate, and yeah, it was really Gene Hunt is one of the judges, and he was running for judge, and he actually won. And he was surprised. His wife was surprised. They're like, "Wow, you did really good. Came across."
They came over and were like, "You're not an idiot."
No.
You're like,
You
"Great."
ain't hitting
I
me.
like when you say they're surprised.
Yeah,
Wow,
so-
wrestler boy knows things. You're like, what the hell, man? The mayor over here, I think, lives around the block from us
Yeah,
over here. It's
yeah.
pretty trippy.
I actually like him. He's all right. So a lot
I've
of
only egged his house twice. I didn't know. I didn't know.
I'm under the strong belief if you would have ran, say, Taylor, Monroe, Garden City, Westland, you probably would have won.
right.
I
He's
think
saying
Dearborn.
stick to the audience.
I think Dearborn was a tough sell for you.
I got a new campaign manager.
Dude.
So, are you thinking about doing it again, or
Maybe, you know, I'm gonna regroup, and I don't know if we mentioned this, but I bought a place in Monroe. I know we were talking about it earlier. So I sold my house in May and just lived on the boat, and finally figured out what I wanted to do and where I would end up. And you know, I was looking at Grozeal, and believe it or not, my property taxes on the value of homes that were the same or more than mine with a larger land, a larger plot, was cheaper than in Dearborn.
Does not shock me at
Yeah,
all, man.
he pays
I
way
was-
more
Dude,
taxes
it is
than I do?
ridiculous.
Oh, it is. Mine always floated right around $5,000, and my lot size was a little bit bigger than yours, but
Why you gotta bring that
wider.
up, Terry? Jeez, some A Street Studios, man. Words hurt.
I think you need to do more taxes.
Yeah.
But it always floated right around $5,000, and then this year they shot up another $800 for the year.
Welcome to
Like,
Dearborn.
yeah, I'm like, wait a second, 16 years, almost 17 years.
So then the
of this.
Century 21 sign plopped right on the house. And you're like, I'm gonna go live in a boat.
where I have no property
Yeah.
tax.
Winnow.
Now, did you get advice from what's Kane's real name? I always forget it. Glenn something. He won his election, right?
Yeah.
But he's like
You had to rub
governor,
that in
man.
my face.
Or no, he's a mayor, isn't he?
No.
See this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won his
Yeah.
election.
Someone can pull it through. Some people can't.
Yeah, you're no Ventura.
The wound's still open.
Yeah.
You're dumping that salt in, aren't you?
So let's talk about success, Terry, and your lack thereof.
Well, I meant, did you get advice from him? Because he seems to be in the
This guy.
political.
So you're
Now,
putting
I'm
over
going to
the,
backtrack here a little bit.
you're putting over the rookies in WWE.
You've already completely
Now
shut
you're
him down.
Seriously, thanks for the ego boost. Right.
No,
Thanks for
actually-
having me, guys. Just throws them out.
Right. So actually, like he was asking me a lot of questions because
Oh, the other way around.
Yeah, my campaign was prior, and he's very knowledgeable. Just having a conversation, and he has passion for it too, and that's why I know he'll do good. And you know, he's starting off on the right foot, putting the right people in place and all that stuff, and he's got a good team and a support system too. So,
but he knew his audience, is what Steve's trying to tell
yeah,
you.
more or less.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know how to
down
read
south
that,
where
yeah.
they, respect a pro wrestler.
Right. Not up here.
These liberals.
There's cities up here that will. It's just not Dearborn. So there you go. Did you have those questions from those guys or no?
No, I don't know.
Oh,
No one delivered, man. Dave from Flat Rock didn't deliver.
Everyone thought we were full
people,
of shit, They're like, no, really, Rhino from WWE is gonna be out. Yeah, okay, up yours, fatty.
Yeah.
He's really gonna
Yeah,
show up.
Steve, and then was like, no.
One last wrestling question though. I gotta ask this. So when you get the job at WWE, it's a dream job or whatever. And now here you are, what, 15, 20 years later? Is it still a dream job or just kind of a job now?
You know what? Back then, it was more of, you're full of a bunch of piss and vinegar. And, if things don't go your way, you're more pissed, like, creatively, like I could do more here, do more there. Now, as you get older and you're always grateful to have that dream job, and moments you're like, wow, this is my dream job, but as you get older and and having children, and you, instead of running into the fire and to fights, and arguments, in personal and professional, you kind of sit back, you kind of collect your thoughts, and then you approach it in a different sense, more of a calm. And I see a lot of guys and girls making that same mistake, and the frustration of an angle that they're not seeing. And then I can sit back and I can see and understand their frustration and tell them. Like, for example, Ruby Riott, she was upset because she wanted a tattoo, right? And even though it didn't have anything to do with an angle, you're supposed to ask, And
It's appearance. It's like your appearance,
So
they got a bunch of T-shirts printed with you on there. You go and get a neck tat.
Figures, the video games.
Completely understand.
So I went to her, and she was having a discussion with Mark Carano, the head of talent relations. He's like, don't get it. Let's hold off. We'll talk about it in January, right? So I pulled her off to the side, and she was still on. She's like, I really want it. And she was starting to get emotional about it. So I pulled her off to the side. I said, well, what's the deal? And she explained. I go, okay, well, you have to understand there's so many wheels moving in this company.
More than just you.
Yeah. You're asking him. He's telling you no. Come back in January. We'll talk about it then. You're getting upset. Well, this is why he's saying no, because of what we just mentioned. And she didn't really think about that. I go, so next time, it was just on her arm, and she has a bunch of other tattoos. I go, next time, come to me and ask me what you should do. And then what I would tell you to do is just start wearing a little sleeve and get the tattoo. And
then my figure wouldn't have the sleeve, man.
Right. So they're thinking it's an addition to your outfit, and they wouldn't really pay it any mind, but they wouldn't even realize you got another tattoo. So, and then I always...
Till they're pissed when that sleeve rolls up.
And
then Rhino's going, I had nothing to do with this, man. She did this all on her own.
And then I told her, I go, remember, it's always better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Maybe that's not the approach to everybody. He wanted me to tell her, but, it was, it's one of those things where it's nicer because you're enjoying it more, and you're realizing you're 43 and they're still hiring you. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Enjoy it
more, right?
So they'd throw a fit if you shaved your head and came in.
Right. You guys aren't going to hold me down.
Yeah, I was going to say,
go get the clippers, sir.
I'll be right back.
Wow, this will really get us some views on our podcast.
Right.
Two dudes just attack Rhino and shave his head on his podcast for ratings. Wait, I'm giving you guys ideas.
Heather, where's the clippers?
Right.
And just so you know, Terry, we have no ratings.
We're not worried about it. So hit the upset. So now we're going to talk a little football for you.
Oh, nice. Nice.
This isn't an upset. I want to. So we changed up this week.
Okay, what did we do?
Because let me tell you something. All I saw all week long was how Vatek and the Enter Sandman in Lane Stadium.
Cool entrance, if you didn't see it, Terry, they played this. The whole stadium jumps.
It is an unbelievable entrance. It's one of the. It's like Clemson.
They say it measures on the Richter scale.
They jump the whole stadium. They bring the lunchbox. They were going to do work on the Irish,
and then
but it didn't happen. Oh no! So again, I just wanted to play this week because it meant nothing to Notre Dame.
Yeah, the whole crowd starts chanting the song and singing.
What game was this?
This Virginia Tech Notre Dame.
It's 8 o'clock on
This is in Blacksburg, West or Virginia or something.
They've been doing it for 20 years. They said.
Oh, really?
It
Speaking
is.
of which,
It
how
is
old do you-
electric.
How old do you feel because you knew that song when it was new?
Right.
They're like,
Well-
we play this old rock song from ancient times.
Well, I used to listen to that every time Sandman would come out, and he would do the whole thing. Sometimes they would have to start it over. It's like 5 minutes and 13 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
Dang.
Did it take that long?
And he would
It's
drink.
like, you want to move? I mean, what's going on, buddy?
You have any idea who Sandman is that you keep saying?
the
No.
wrestler.
He come down, he'd have, what are those sticks?
Beer.
A beer.
Oh, kendo
a
stick.
kendo
Yeah.
stick. And he'd drink the beer all over the crowd, and he'd whack himself in the head with this kendo stick.
Yeah,
and start bleeding. He was a
Well,
loony
usually the
dude.
beer can.
Yeah. He was,
So he started the match already with a little bit of blood
he was
juice.
hammered.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, and he had color. But one time in Gary, Indiana, this was in ECW, he come to the building. He goes, "Oh, I just woke up." He goes, "I haven't had anything to drink." And I looked at him. And I go,
Does he
"Wow."
sound
Yeah,
like
he
what you?
sounds just
he
like
smokes
that.
like 10 packs of cigarettes.
Oh my
Yeah, he's
God.
like, "Ow, you're hilarious!" Like
Sounds
one
like
of the-
Cobra Commander from a G.I. Joe movie. I mean, what's going on?
Right.
What is happening?
Oh, and then don't get me started on Raven. Everybody's like, Raven, I'm a genius."
This is what you do when you're sitting around bored as a pro wrestler. You mock one
I
another.
can just hear everybody mocking me. Right? Actually, you'll appreciate this. Raven, you know who Raven is, right?
Yes.
He's literally a genius. And what's great
Like
is
he told you this, or he,
no, like Mensa or whatever
Oh,
it's
okay,
called. Yeah,
okay.
he's
because
in
if
their
someone has
thing.
to tell you that, they're full of it.
But no, he does tell you that, right? He
Oh.
tells everybody. But he's like I forget his IQ, but it's funny. He'll tell people that he'll work it in the conversation, right? Not to
Oh,
impress
so anyway,
women,
I was
yeah.
talking, and I'm a genius.
I'm a
And,
but that's how Raven is, right? So when we start talking about Raven, I'll say, "Do you know he's a genius?" And the reaction, "Oh yeah, he told me." But I for some reason I laugh because I purposely say, "You know he's a genius," knowing they're going to say,
digging it.
"Yeah, he told me."
You're always mocking him.
Right.
So the recap for the college football, you went to the Michigan game, is that correct?
Yesterday, yeah.
Was there a weather delay? Or-
Yeah. Well, I thought it started at 1 o'clock anyways. So my buddy, I go
what
like
kind
this.
of college football fan are you?
Right.
When does it ever start at 1 o'clock?
Right, barely.
I mean, it's only been a tradition for like 90 years.
So my buddy goes like this. He goes, "We'll meet at this gate to go in." I'm like, "Okay, cool. 12:40. How's that sound?" He goes, "Well, I'll just come up with a ticket and give it to you." And I'm like, "Boy, someone really wants to get there early," thinking it starts at 1.
What's he doing?
Right? I'm
Yeah.
like, "What is the water colder there?" You
Yeah.
know? Obviously, it's not beer you're there for. You know?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm driving out, and then he goes, "Hey, just come over to my brother's house because his brother lives in Ann Arbor, and there's a rain delay till 1 o'clock." And I called him up. I go, "So the football game started at 12?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "I thought it started at 1. That's why I'm telling you to meet me at 1:40, right?" So literally, I had all the time in the world. I'm kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio skipping through. You ever see those memes where he's skipping like I'm skipping into the gym and like, "Oh, I have so much time," and it doesn't start till 1.
So
and,
he's going to have a lot of insight into college football.
Right.
He's missed the half of at most games.
Right. You might want to skip over that.
So
So how about those Tigers?
Exactly.
he's like, those games usually start around midnight, right?
Right.
So a big upset yesterday was Texas over Oklahoma. I don't know if
The Red River rivalry. Say that 10 times
Yeah, I was
fast.
gonna say, try that, Elmer Fudd.
Right.
Texas led most of that game and pulled it off.
Now you may not know Oklahoma is ranked 7th in the country. Texas is ranked nothing, and they pulled off.
I want
the
to say
upset.
Oklahoma had a key injury, though. Like a running back or someone was down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, great. And
I
we
always
don't know
thought
anything
I
about
was-
Big 12
This
football.
is a hell of a football. recap.
He doesn't know the game started. We don't know who's hurt.
Yeah, we're
We're
great.
really
What do we
striking out
know?
here.
Regular-
I know Notre Dame
Yeah,
beat
Notre
Virginia
Dame
Tech
whooped
in
Virginia Tech.
Blacksburg.
They struggled a little in the second quarter, but then they came correct.
The second quarter, because the second half they looked great.
Yeah, because they remembered how to run the ball. Notre Dame kinda
Yeah,
forgets that
Dexter
every once in a while.
Williams is the kid's name that really is showing up this year.
But the one that kind of shocked me this weekend was MSU losing to Northwestern, because I was
Yeah.
looking forward to Michigan State game this year, and that kinda
MSU
took-
is not
that-
good.
Yeah, that took a lot of luster.
Yeah.
Off to
MSU.
Michigan
And
game.
then they were hyped on the Lewerke kid and all this kind of stuff, and he's just
Does that sound like a football name to you, by the way?
What's that?
Lewerke. It sounds like an accountant, doesn't it?
I think it is my accountant.
But Northwestern is the same team that gave U of M fits, so I don't know what to do.
That's true. So that game's gonna suck. What? Oh, man. I always fidget with this too much.
Yeah,
Okay,
fidgeting.
sorry, I quit fidgeting.
Yeah, so again, MSU is not anything to really write home about. They're probably going to be, middle Big Ten again.
Yeah, and then LSU lost to Florida without Tim Tebow.
But they honored him at half. Did you see
Yeah, I
that
seen
at all?
that,
Yeah, that was the big CBS game of the weekend.
Is he still a virgin or is he married now or what?
I
what's
don't
the deal
know.
with that? That's
Do you have
the
any
whole-
insight, Terry?
Do you know Tim Tebow?
Yes, and I know if he's a virgin or not, but I cannot confirm nor deny I was part of that process or a lack of.
This is why we had you on, Terry.
You're supposed to know about two. But still my highlight, I love the LSU's coach. And-
Orgeron,
Have you ever heard
yeah.
that coach talk at LSU?
No.
He sounds like the coach from The Waterboy.
Yeah.
So you
Does
got
he
some
start
funny
rubbing
ones.
his nipples?
Yeah, pretty much.
Remember that spot? What mama don't know doesn't hurt or something.
So they just released the top 5. You got Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and Notre Dame.
Really, Terry, the only thing you need to know about college football is Alabama's going to beat the snot out of everybody. That's all you really need
How
to
it
know.
always happens, though.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the best kid in the country is that Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, he's got
Say
37.
that fast.
Yeah, he's got 37 vowels in his last name. I don't know what.
And he is, you talk about putting it on people. They're destroying people.
Ohio State cruised. They struggled a little bit against Indiana, but for the most part, everyone won who's supposed to win. Just LSU lost, MSU lost, and
Well,
Oklahoma.
Michigan was supposed to, or Michigan State was supposed to win, right?
Yeah. They were favored quite a bit, and they lost too. So those were the 3 big upsets for the weekend. And a look at our college football. We're not going to go too in depth. But are you?
We don't know half the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, I know. That's a sad thing.
I feel like I brought you guys down.
No.
Yes, you did, Terry. I'm going to tell you this.
That's okay.
I'm
Steve,
not going to
you're
sit
right.
here and blow smoke. Usually we have great segments.
That's
No,
okay.
we're just usually we're usually worse.
You can bury me all you want because you're a good dude. Because I see Dawson's Creek.
That's not a
the
reason to like
collector's
it.
set.
Yeah.
No, I love Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
So, you're okay in my book. You can put me down all you want.
Oh,
you know.
God.
Yeah,
Don't
so
try to say that
he's
your
sitting around Big
wife-
Bad Tough Wrestling. Was
yeah.
sitting around watching about Joey and Pacey and all this stuff.
He's crying with tissues on his bed in his
I was
boat.
upset that
Watch-
Dawson and Joey didn't end up together. I was really upset.
Oh.
One of my favorite shows.
You don't know
So-
college football starts at noon. But you watch Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek, yeah.
He's got deep minutia Dawson's Creek knowledge.
Are you an MMA fan by chance?
You know what? No. I
Man.
like the sport.
It's getting
I think-
closer.
yeah, I like the sport. I think the athletes are just, from when we first started, when it first came up. I don't know
yeah.
if you watched it back then.
You have a guy
You know,
my size fighting someone 110 pounds in a
right,
cage.
right, yeah, and then it's just the art is really of the grappling mixed with a kind of a striking boxing type. It's so intense, and a lot of athletes, and it's so difficult to get to a level where you make money, kind of like bodybuilding. It's just very few.
You're looking
a
for that
small-
shot. Yeah, that's tough.
and then with something like that, you only have so many fights in you. The good thing about wrestling is it's very physical on your body, but you can work around some injuries and the entertainment. So you have to be a businessman, an entertainer, and an athlete, kind of all wrapped up into one. There you have to be a solid athlete, and there's so many people because UFC is so hot in the mixed martial arts. So many people are into it, so it's that much more competition. But I mean, I respect it, fully, but it's just such a tough business to, make a couple bucks.
And you talk about like passion for people who are into professional wrestling, the people
Right.
who are into mixed martial arts,
Oh, it's insane.
sleeping on couches for 6-7 months just for the love of the game and stuff
They
like
make
that.
about
It's-
$2,000 for the fight, and they got
It
$3,000
is
worth of medical
crazy.
bills.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And 10 grand in training.
So they're in the hole.
Right.
you got a staph infection and cauliflower ear too.
Oh, that cauliflower is so great. you
My
managed to
are
stay away.
pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah, some people, man.
Watch,
Whoa.
I call you up Tuesday. Yeah, guess what?
Blew it out. Yeah.
So the big one last night was McGregor versus what's that guy's last name?
Khabib.
Now he's a Russian. This guy.
He okay.
Charles
so
is huge in UFC.
I love MMA.
I'm the wrestling guy.
so,
He's the
yeah,
UFC
MMA
guy.
is great. There's like a video of him like being like really young and wrestling a
bears,
bear,
yeah.
dude. It is.
Really?
So he was.
Yeah,
I want to say he was
dude's nuts.
26-0 going into this fight yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's a staunch. I believe he's a Muslim. So when McGregor's up there pimping his Irish whiskey and telling him he's gonna punch a hole in his head and all this kind of stuff, it struck him the wrong way, and he took it to McGregor. Fourth round, got a rear naked on him, but then chaos ensued.
Go into the WWE stuff. That happened
Yeah.
afterwards.
So then afterwards,
yeah.
there's a guy in McGregor's corner, like a training partner of McGregor named Dennis, who apparently was chirping at Khabib the whole time. And somehow at the end of this, so Khabib puts it on him, wins the match, and then somehow goes full-fledged like off into the crowd looking for this Dennis guy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 2 Russian thugs jump in and put it on McGregor.
Jump in the cage.
Jump into the cage so they're chasing Khabib going after this Dennis guy. Then 2 other Russian thugs jump the cage and go after McGregor. They're equating it to the Malice in the Palace, the Ron Artest stuff where he went into the audience. They're equating it to that because it was just complete anarchy.
Really?
Here's this guy. So I watched a great interview.
Sounds like another day at the office. For
Yeah,
me.
I'm telling you, they're getting closer to WWE.
So a lot of people are claiming they put it on, but those 3 guys, there was charges. They arrested them and everything, but McGregor didn't push them.
Vince McMahon
so.
gets arrested every other month.
Yeah. Terry's saying it's old hat.
Yeah. Let's
But
be honest.
Khabib is no joke, and I love some McGregor, man. He is entertaining. You talk about a guy who has mic skills from a pro wrestling standpoint. He is just some of the best
Such a
stuff to
cocky little
watch.
bastard.
Oh, it's
Right,
great.
right.
Telling someone you're going to punch a hole in their head is amazing.
It's awesome. I mean, it's almost as awesome as saying you're going to eat their children.
Oh yeah, the Mike Tyson.
It's
crap.
great, man.
It's like, what did he just say? He's going to eat his kids? Wow,
Now, one of the other things we talk about, like random things we watch on this podcast quite a bit, UFC and like how you were being candid today, I love behind the scenes stuff. I love when people drop the shtick and you see the training that they go through and all. So there's an embedded show that's on YouTube. And basically these bigger UFC marquee events, they follow like the stars who are in there, and they show you some of the training regimens they go through, the media days they go through, and it's all that candid stuff. If you guys get a chance, check those out because those are really captivating stuff. Yeah,
How you think Lesnar's going to do his third time around in UFC?
I think he'll do well. Hopefully he does well because it'll help, with wrestling and stuff like your WWE. I just one time, this is before he started on TV and WWE, they had him do live events, and he goes, Rhyno, can I travel with you? And I go, yeah, sure. I don't know if Nunzio was off that week or whatever.
It's always Nunzio.
I know it is,
Right,
man.
right.
That's
Spent a lot of
his
time
road
with
dog
Nunzio.
right there,
Nunzio,
man. He
yeah,
goes
Nunzio
everywhere.
and A-Train, we were traveling, and I don't know if you remember A-Train.
He's Albert, the guy with the hairy back in the
Okay.
90s. Yeah.
Big, tall. He's actually the head trainer down in NXT, but it's like A-Train, myself, and Nunzio. And we'd go out and we'd have a couple drinks, and Nunzio would get drunk. And you'd always find him like talking to himself in the corner or whatever. When he's like,
All the time.
Nunzio, I'm like, where's Nunzio? Oh,
He's
over
going to
there.
call him tonight. I know he is. Like, what are you doing, Nunzio?
Drinking. One time he was so drunk he went home. This was his deal. He would go home on Wednesdays. He would drink all day at his buddy's shop, right? And then his buddy he'd take a cab home or whatever. And then he would not drink the rest of the time at home, right? So, and his wife would work. So one time he drank so much that his buddy actually dropped him off at home. And then he woke up in the middle of the night peeing on the TV. Well, actually, he didn't remember that. But
His wife's like, why is the TV wet?
He may have a problem.
She worked a 12-hour shift, came home, and he pissed on the TV. She just wanted to watch her stories.
Like I would, whoever would land first would get the car. So I landed first. I pick him up. He goes, "Oh, guess what I did?" Well, he kind of sounds like Sandman. Right? So I go, "What?" He goes. So I call Doreen, his wife, at work. And then he goes, I can sense she was mad at me, but I don't know why, you know? And then she goes, James, that's his real name. I'm mad at you. He's like, I could sense that. Why are you mad at me? She goes, you don't even remember. He goes, no, I don't. She goes, you came home, you came home from so-and-so's bar restaurant. I heard you come in, you lay down on the couch, and then a couple hours after that, I heard you making noise. I got up, and then you were peeing on the TV. He didn't remember peeing on the TV.
She says that very matter of fact.
Right, right.
You're pissing on the TV
You're
again.
standing there pissing on the television.
How many
It's
times
funny
we've gone
'cause
over this, James?
That's not the only buddy I would hang out that would drink and then pee on things. I really hang out with some messed up people. It's a kind of like you have to do something dumb when you're drunk to hang out with me. So, but yeah. Anyways, I don't know where we were going.
Something
with
about Lesnar, and he was riding with you guys.
that. Oh yeah. There we go. Oh, we got off on
Tangents.
that. Right.
Lesnar
So-
didn't piss on anything, did he?
Yeah, I was
No,
gonna say,
no.
keep it clean.
Right. So we go into the gym, and he's like, what are you training? I go, I think I might have even said shoulders. He goes, oh, cool, I'm training shoulders. And then all of a sudden he started warming up with 80-pound dumbbell presses, just warming up.
Gotta
And
get
I
the
go,
blood
"You know
flowing,
what?
Derek."
I think I'm just going to start off with cardio and do shoulders later.
You
Literally, he
sulked
ended
into the
up
corner, yeah.
the strongest human being I've ever seen. And he didn't, have to kick it up with his legs. He literally just picked them up like they were 20-pound dumbbells. And I'm like, this man is the strongest human being I've ever seen. So, like, I would watch
Like,
him
he's
pick
not
up the
normal.
Big Show. Yeah, like 500 pounds of the Big Show and do his F5. And, like, night in and night out. And I'm thinking to myself, I hope I never piss that man off. One punch, you'll punch a hole in my head. So, and it's just natural raw strength too. So
It's like pure
I think-
genetic,
yeah.
just,
and I think muscle
boy.
maturity and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
the
think,
farm.
Yeah, and I think I think he'll do really well because something like that you don't lose. So. I think he'll do really well, and I hope.
I know
he
what
does
you
really
mean,
well.
Terry. You just
Right.
don't lose it. You know what I mean?
See that strength.
When you got it, Terry.
So
I'll try not to go off on any more tangents.
well,
You're like, where the hell was he going?
Yeah, back to
Being on
that.
TV.
We ended up pissing on a TV somewhere.
So the NFL tonight,
Right.
we should be celebrating a big Lions.
Now, they
victory.
start at 1, Terry. Just so you know.
1, 4, and 8 o'clock. But the Lions pulled off the victory today. The Lions make no sense. They beat the teams they're not supposed to win.
Did they ever make any sense?
No, never. So that was kind of a shock, pretty much today. And then,
And so you're glazing over. Their kicker missed 3 kicks
yeah,
from
Green Bay's
Green Bay.
kicker was, I don't know what they were
Correct. Just
doing.
Oh, so they beat Green Bay today.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
well, Green
Yeah.
Bay is a
Which makes
shell
no
of
sense,
itself.
right?
Green Bay has no talent at receiver.
Yeah, they got like
You know
all
what I
rookies.
mean? They're literally just going out and grabbing whoever.
Their kicker missed 3 field goals and an extra point today.
Yeah.
The Green Bay kicker.
I mean,
Yeah, he'd be unemployed. He wouldn't even get on the plane.
Right.
Go,
Yeah,
go.
drive-
You're
drive
living
to
Detroit
Green
now.
Bay. Yeah. And Detroit would be like, we'll take you.
I know of a houseboat he can live in.
Right.
So there's a big battle for Texas tonight. All right,
Okay.
Terry, you're going to tell us who's going to win. Houston Texans versus Dallas Cowboys. Who do you like?
Houston Texans.
You're wrong.
Well, it's at Houston.
Houston's pretty Duke-hay this year, though.
Well, Dallas ain't that great either.
Yeah, Dallas is, but they still got Ezekiel Elliott. I mean,
That is
he
true.
put it on him last
Wait,
week.
is J.J. Watt hurt yet, or is he still playing?
I don't
I'm
know.
going to go with Terry on this one. I like Houston. And by the way, last week
give
I
me them
picked,
Cowboys.
I picked Denver. I picked Denver over KC. Denver had that game until the last minute
You
of the
went
game.
out on a limb, and
And I was
Patrick
this
Mahomes,
close, this close.
laser rocket arm,
Oh,
delivered the W, and you were
that
incorrect.
It was a quarterback. I'm drawing a blank. They would blame his girlfriend for the losses for the Cowboys. What was
Oh, Tony
Tony
Romo.
Romo.
Oh, Roma.
Yeah.
He's a great commentator, though. Now
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a
golfer,
good color,
apparently,
man. He's
yeah.
really good.
So then Monday Night Football, we got the Washington Redskins at the New Orleans Saints.
And
There'll
be 8 people watching this. No one cares.
New Orleans going to. Well, no, a lot of people are going to watch this because Drew Brees
He's going to break a record, right?
something
Number
about
2. He's going
most
to
yards
be
all
Favre.
time if he passes.
He'll be
200
behind
yards.
Peyton, I want to say.
Yeah, so New
Or if
Orleans.
you don't want to tune into Monday Night Football, Monday Night Raw.
Oh yeah. When's the last time you got to see Monday Night Football? Probably not very often, right?
Yeah.
No.
He's got bills to pay.
Guys-
Steve.
right.
Are there a lot of guys backstage who are big football fans, or
Oh yeah. A lot of
are they
guys.
watching like what backstage?
No,
or-
usually they're doing their thing and stuff like that, and they'll catch it afterwards. The highlights and stuff like that. So
We've talked about it at length on this podcast. Have you seen the Andre the Giant documentary?
no, I won't.
God, man,
I don't
it
have
is.
HBO on
We
my
brought it up
phone.
at least 8 podcasts now, and it is fascinating. You know what I
it's a
mean?
great
It
documentary.
talks about like the territory stuff and how they used to kind of move him around the country
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
From a pro wrestler, you just got to watch it. And if anyone asks you, tell them we all love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone will, but in case you,
You're like these 2 guys back in
Yeah,
Michigan. They love the Andre the Giant.
we just can't shut up about it. It was great, and it's
It is
more
good.
that behind the scenes stuff that
Yeah,
we were talking
yeah.
about. It's
And all the
fascinating.
beer he drank.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty crazy.
And I bet you Big Show's the same way. God.
I don't really drink.
No,
Yeah.
not drink. He's a video
Yeah.
gamer though too, isn't he?
I
I've
never
saw
really
some things with him playing video games.
seen him. Yeah. So
He
I know-
leaned up, but I would assume he just eats like an animal.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
like,
you know what I
he
mean?
eats cleaner, but he still eats a lot.
You got to fuel that body, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's not right.
No.
It's a
Is,
lot.
is he the biggest man you've met in pro wrestling, or is anyone bigger
yeah.
than him?
Yeah. So.
See what I'm telling
I've
you?
never
I will
met
make the
Shaq,
legend.
though. So I would really like to
Shaq.
meet Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq looks like he's a lot of fun.
Yeah. yeah.
What about
he's
the great Khali? Have you met him?
Oh yeah. I actually met him. He was over in Dubai for that one show. I met him a few times. He's a really cool dude.
You been to Dubai?
Not Dubai, but Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Yeah. 'cause
What's
they
that
did
like?
Like Saudi Arabia.
I thought he was going to say like Dearborn. I was like,
Right.
ooh.
I didn't want to go there.
Did you run for office in Dubai?
And lost. So, actually, it's not that bad. They're kind of they're trying to move off of oil dependency and be more like Dubai, where people can touristy travel place.
But then you still see these articles where like somehow they hold back a
the
chick who like
writer's
kissed a
missing or-
boy or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
yeah,
like
you-
it looks like amazing, but
yeah,
then you
we're-
hear these.
We're told all this stuff, and then we go over there, and Slater and I, we have to do an appearance at a restaurant that's owned.
Wait, where was
by a-
Nunzio at this point?
He was drunk in the corner.
Okay. I'm like, how did Nunzio not get a flight? What happened? Sorry.
So that was actually a good feed. Softball, I took him around with it. No, but this lady owns it. She's a businesswoman, and she's owned. And a lot of the kids are on Snapchat and YouTube and social media.
So it felt
and
like-
going out bowling. So in some sense, in a serious way, it kind of felt like Dearborn, where it's not really Middle Eastern. They would have the call to prayer and everything, but there was the kids were like
Modern American
yeah,
kid type
exactly.
style.
So, and they were told, to hide religious tattoos and all that stuff. And, and you're supposed to cover your tattoos, but a lot of people didn't, and it was okay, So they're trying to stay close with their heritage and stuff, but also be a little more Western, So
They gotta
women
get
are
them
allowed-
tourist dollars coming in there,
Exactly. Women are allowed to drive and stuff, and it's good thinking on the royal family, because they realize as we go to more electric cars and stuff like that, oil won't be the
Thinking
the big
ahead,
cash
yeah.
cow.
So yeah, you talked about how wrestling is huge in Germany. How big is wrestling in Saudi Arabia?
It's pretty big. But what's funny is the prince. He's maybe a little younger than us. I want to say he's in his mid-30s, but he grew up watching like guys, like Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and all that stuff, and he wanted some wrestlers to come to dinner, right, at the palace and all that stuff. So he's asking, like, one of the guys that work in the office, he's telling me that he had a list of guys, and apparently he hasn't watched in a while, or he hasn't read social media, but he's asking for guys that have passed. And so our guy, as he's telling us the story, he's like, well, I can try to get The Undertaker, But this guy definitely won't make it. But he didn't tell him he was deceased. So he's like, and this guy won't make it, and this guy's not coming
Piper
over.
and the
but,
Junkyard Dog.
Yeah.
Right, coming to your
definitely
dinner.
not make it. But he had a list of guys, and about a quarter of them were past, or old enough where they couldn't even make the trip. But yeah, it was pretty interesting.
So here's the rant I was going to tell you guys earlier.
Oh.
Okay, so this will end the show here on this rant here.
Oh.
So me and Terry, both 43 years old, I go to Boston Market. It's tasty, half chicken meal with green beans and steamed vegetables. Love it. Tasty.
Did you take the skin off the chicken?
Of course not. It's the tastiest part. What are you crazy? I should, but did I? No. So, but I placed the order in the drive-thru, and I come around, and she tells me $8.26 or whatever, and I pay for it, whatever, and I get my receipt. She gave me a senior discount on my order.
What?
I swear to God, I got 63 cents off on a senior discount. She saw that is not good for
I'm
me.
so cheap. I want to Boston
He
Market.
wants to know which location you were at.
I tell you what, quit dyeing your hair. Go to Boston Markets. You will get a senior discount.
Wow.
My wife and daughter have been tearing me up for 3 days.
Wow. Is it because the sun grayed out your hair like that? Is that what happened?
It made my hair look gray. I didn't know if I should be depressed or thankful over that 63 cents.
That's when you're like, you know what? I would have rather paid the 60.
Yes. I don't know why I'm sharing
Destroying
this
my
with you guys.
ego right now.
I should be quiet and not tell anyone this, but it's a funny story. What
It
the hell.
is. It is.
So that's going to wrap us up for this week, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd like to thank our special guest,
Great.
Terry Garrett.
What's your name
Rhino.
again?
This guy, the Rhino,
This
man.
guy that walked into our studios.
WWE's Rhino, Terry Garrett. I'd like to thank him. And of course, your host, Steve Markey, and my co-host,
Charles.
and we'll catch you next time. You can always catch us on Apple iTunes and Google Play and on our website.
Hold on,
Fat
Terry, you
Guys,
got anything you need to
Little
plug?
Anything you need to plug?
No, but there's one thing I'll say.
Yes?
Uh-oh.
Your brother, hell of a guy.
That's a lie.
I've been saying that for years.
To anyone that'll listen.
And I'm not gonna start crying or need a shoulder to cry on or anything, but just to your listeners and stuff, you go through life no matter what you do, you remember certain people and certain things in your life, and people that are impactful, people that do kind and things for you. I don't know if you remember this, but it was the day my dad passed away, and I didn't make it to the tournament. And this was our sophomore year, and before the internet, you couldn't see who won or anything.
It's tough, man.
And I came around the corner. I don't know if I was with my brother or my buddy Jesse. He passed away in the morning, so I didn't go to school that day. And you were coming back. I forget who you were walking with. And I stopped the car. I go, "Hey, Steve, did we win?" And you said yes. And you go, "Do you remember this?"
No.
You said, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was on Annapolis Street, and it was right before Pelham. You were walking home, and what street did you grow up on?
Detroit Street.
Right. So you go, "I won, and that victory was for your dad." You remember that? You don't.
Wow. You were dedicating victories?
Yeah.
I guess.
And and I thought to myself, "Wow, man, that really meant a lot." But my point is it's just kind and nice things people remember throughout their lives. So whenever you have a moment, even the smallest gesture of holding doors. I've traveled the world. I've been very blessed. Here in America, this is really the only country. If you notice, when you go to the gas station, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, old, young. A lot of people hold doors open. In Germany, you never find that. If you hold the door open for someone, it's very rare. They'll just walk by you. But if you notice, 95% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, people will acknowledge, "Thank you, that was nice," or something like that.
Yeah.
So nice things, mean a lot to people, and people never forget certain things. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, but anyways,
There's a high note.
so your brother, your
Wow.
brother isn't that big of a jerk.
Yeah, what the?
Everyone usually calls
What the
me.
hell is this
I'm
like?
not always an
Where was
insensitive
that
asshole.
He picked on me my whole goddamn life.
No, I
He pile drive me in the dining room table or on the
no-
floor.
And See, he was practicing so he could dedicate victories to,
That's
to
right.
people.
What the hell is this? I don't even know you, man.
I can be nice on occasion.
Right. That was the last time.
Over
he
here
showed
pouring
income.
one out for a guy's dad. And
Right.
What the hell?
Yeah, then we quit talking for 25 years.
Wow.
All right, thanks.
But I
everybody.
took you with me, Steve.
No.
That's right. And we are good.